Look at Bogo. He just woke up at 5:30 a.m. He didn't want to. His cortisol levels spiked before his alarm even went off. His body is already in fight or flight mode. He's not being chased by a predator. He's being chased by a calendar notification that says team meeting 9 a.m. He stumbles to the shower. He's exhausted. Not because he hunted a woolly mammoth yesterday, but because he spent 9 hours in a chair, staring at a screen, while his manager asked him to circle back on a project that could have been an email. Biologically, his brain cannot differentiate between a lion attack and a Slack notification marked urgent. Both trigger the same ancient panic response. Bogo gets dressed, suit, tie, shoes that hurt his feet, clothing designed to signal status to a tribe that doesn't care. He grabs a protein bar, not because it's nutritious, but because he has exactly 4 minutes before he needs to leave. His ancestors spent hours gathering berries and hunting game. Bogo spends his mornings in a state of manufactured scarcity, created entirely by a system that pays him $30 an hour, but somehow leaves him with 4. Let's do the math. $30 an hour, 8 hours a day, that's $240 before taxes. After taxes, it's closer to $180. Bogo thinks this is fine. He thinks this is how society works. But here's what Bogo doesn't realize. His brain is still wired for direct exchange. Hunt mammoth, get mammoth, spend energy, receive calories, 1-to-1, immediate. But modern work isn't direct exchange, it's abstract. Bogo sells his time, not his output, not his results, his time. And time, unlike a mammoth, is invisible. You can't touch it, you can't see it leave your body, which means Bogo's primitive brain has no idea he's being drained. He gets in his car, 20-minute commute. Gas costs $4 a gallon. He's burning money just to get to the place that will give him money. His ancestors never walked 2 hours to a hunting ground and then paid the ground rent. But Bogo does, and he doesn't even notice. He arrives at the office, he parks, he walks inside, he sits down. And here's where it gets interesting. Bogo is about to spend the next 8 hours in a state of low-grade stress, not enough to kill him, but enough to keep his cortisol elevated, his heart rate slightly increased, his digestion impaired, his immune system suppressed. Why? Because every 15 minutes, something demands his attention. An email, a meeting, a question from a coworker. Each interruption is a micro-stressor, a tiny predator, and Bogo's ancient brain responds the way it always has, by releasing stress hormones, by preparing to fight or flee. Except Bogo can't fight his boss, and he can't flee the office. So the hormones just sit there, building up, damaging his cells, shortening his lifespan. This is the invisible cost, the thing the $30 hourly rate doesn't account for. Stress is energy, and Bogo is spending energy all day without realizing it. His body is burning calories just to keep him calm, to suppress the urge to scream, to pretend he cares about quarterly projections. Let's talk about lunch. Bogo has 30 minutes. He goes to a food truck, spends $12 on a sandwich. He eats it at his desk while answering emails. His digestion shuts down because his body thinks he's being chased. The sandwich sits in his stomach like a stone. He gets heartburn. He takes an antacid, another cost, another invisible deduction from his $30 hour. 3 p.m. Bogo hits a wall. His blood sugar crashes. His brain fog thickens. He reaches for coffee, 5th cup of the day. His adrenal glands are screaming. They're exhausted. But Bogo needs to stay awake because there are still 3 hours left and his manager just assigned him a new task with a deadline of end of day. Bogo's ancestors never worked past sunset. When the sun went down, they stopped. They rested. Their bodies recovered. But Bogo doesn't stop at sunset. He stops when the work is done, and the work is never done. There is always one more email, one more task, one more deliverable. The system is designed to extract maximum output from Bogo's body before it shuts down completely. 5:30 p.m. Bogo clocks out. He drives home. Another 20 minutes. Another $4 in gas. He's exhausted. He walks through the door. He collapses on the couch. His wife asks him to help with dinner. He can't. He's depleted. Biologically, he has nothing left to give. He spent it all at the office, sitting in a chair, answering emails. His ancestors came home from a hunt and had energy to play with their children, to tell stories, to connect with their tribe. Bogo comes home and stares at his phone for 2 hours because his prefrontal cortex is fried and he needs dopamine, and scrolling is the easiest way to get it. Here's the equation. Bogo earned $240 today, minus taxes, minus commute, minus lunch, minus coffee, minus the antacid, minus the therapy session he'll need next month because his anxiety is getting worse, minus the medical bills from the stress-induced high blood pressure, minus the opportunity cost of not spending time with his family, minus the years of his life he's losing to chronic cortisol exposure. What's left? $4. Maybe. And here's the cruel part. Bogo thinks this is normal. He thinks everyone lives like this because everyone does. The system normalized the treadmill. It convinced an entire generation that exhaustion is productivity, that stress is success, that being busy means you're important. But biologically, Bogo is failing. He's spending more energy than he's getting back. In nature, this is called a negative energy balance, and organisms in negative energy balance die. Bogo's body is trying to tell him this. His back hurts. His head hurts. He's gaining weight even though he barely eats. His sleep is terrible. His libido is gone. These are not random symptoms. These are distress signals. His body is saying stop. But the mortgage is saying go. The car payment is saying go. The credit card bill is saying go. So Bogo goes. He wakes up at 5:30 a.m. again and again and again until one day his body says no. Heart attack, stroke, burnout, so severe he can't get out of bed, and then he'll finally stop. Not because he chose to, but because his biology forced him to. Now let's talk about the alternative, Bogo's neighbor. Let's call him Carl. Carl makes $30 an hour too, but Carl doesn't trade time for money. Carl trades leverage for money. Carl bought a rental property 5 years ago. It generates $1,500 a month. Carl didn't work for that $1,500. The property did, while Carl was sleeping, while Carl was playing with his kids, while Carl was on vacation. Carl still has a job, but Carl's job doesn't own him, because Carl understands something Bogo doesn't. Energy is finite, time is finite, and if you trade finite resources for money, you will always lose. But if you trade money for assets that generate money, you win, because assets don't get tired, assets don't need therapy, assets don't develop high blood pressure. Bogo looks at Carl and thinks Carl got lucky. Carl had a rich family. Carl had connections. Bogo invents narratives to explain why he can't do what Carl did. But the truth is simpler. Carl read a book. Carl learned about compound interest. Carl delayed gratification for 60 months and bought an asset instead of a jet ski. Bogo bought the jet ski. Here's the biology. Bogo's brain is wired for immediate rewards. Dopamine spikes when Bogo sees the jet ski. Dopamine crashes when Bogo thinks about saving for 5 years. Bogo's prefrontal cortex, the part of his brain responsible for long-term planning, is no match for his nucleus accumbens, the part that screams, "I want it now." So Bogo finances the jet ski, and now he has another monthly payment, another reason to stay on the treadmill. Carl's brain wanted the jet ski too, but Carl did something Bogo didn't. Carl tricked his dopamine system. He made the process of saving exciting. He gamified it. Every month he transferred money to his investment account. He felt a hit of dopamine, not as big as buying a jet ski, but consistent, sustainable. And after 60 months, Carl's dopamine system associated delayed gratification with pleasure. Bogo's never made that connection. This is the trap. The system doesn't teach you this. Schools don't teach compound interest. They teach you to show up on time, to follow instructions, to trade time for money, because if everyone understood leverage, the treadmill would stop, and the people who own the treadmill don't want that. So they keep Bogo busy. They keep him stressed. They keep him too exhausted to think, because a tired brain doesn't ask questions. A tired brain just obeys. But Bogo's body can't obey forever. Chronic stress destroys your telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA. Every time Bogo's cortisol spikes, his telomeres shorten, and when your telomeres are gone, your cells stop dividing, you age faster, you die younger. Bogo is literally trading his lifespan for $30 an hour. The solution isn't to quit your job and become a digital nomad. The solution is to understand the equation. Energy in, energy out. If you're spending more than you're getting back, you're dying, slowly, invisibly, but dying. So you build systems, passive income, investments, skills that scale, anything that generates output without requiring your body to be present. You stop trading time. You start trading leverage. Bogo won't do this, because Bogo doesn't believe he can. His tribe told him to get a good job, to work hard, to be loyal to the company, and Bogo's brain is wired to obey the tribe, even when the tribe is wrong. But you're not Bogo. You're watching this video, which means some part of your prefrontal cortex is asking questions, and that's the first step. The moment you realize the treadmill is a scam, you can step off. Your body will thank you, your cortisol will drop, your sleep will improve, your lifespan will extend, and one day you'll wake up at 5:30 a.m. not because you have to, but because you want to, because you have energy, because you're not spending it all just to survive. That's the difference between Bogo and Carl. Bogo is surviving, Carl is living, and the only thing separating them is knowledge. Knowledge that the system doesn't want you to have. Knowledge that turns time into leverage. Knowledge that sets you free.